I'll show you some puppy pictures. Alrighty, bye-bye. That's my sick little girl. She's the one I have her in the little kennel thing. She's peeked her head out and laid it on top of her brother. Yeah, see the one inside there? That's where she's peeked her little head out and laid it on her brother. So two of her siblings, one laid here in front of the kennel, one of them went back inside there so they could be with her.